There's encouraging news about a way to get better results from underperforming schools. It's a turnaround strategy built on leadership and training by teachers. The approach was developed by Teach Plus. Our guest from Teach Plus is the founder and CEO, Dr. Celine Coggins. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks so much, Chris.
First of all, talk about these results, because this is in 6 schools, is it, in Boston?
Yeah, we're working in 6 schools in Boston right now, and we looked at those schools both in terms of absolute achievement, how they're doing compared to the other Boston public schools where they started far behind those schools, and then also other schools that had been declared in turnaround status in Massachusetts. And in all cases, these schools' results are going up. They're going up at a pace that far outpaces the rest of the Boston public schools and far outpaces other turnaround schools in the city and state.
How does this approach work exactly?
So it was an approach that was actually developed by teachers. So teachers said to us that really one of the problems that they thought could be solved within the system is how do we get our highest performing teachers in front of our highest need students. It tends to be the case that high need students get paired with unqualified teachers. And so what they said is we would love to go as part of a team working in a low performing school. We would like special training. We would need formal leadership responsibility over a grade level or a subject area, and we would want to be paid more. And so we work with teams that comprise 25% of the school, all teachers who have been specially selected because they have a strong track record with urban students, and they are the leaders of this initiative.
Well, that means that they're also, I guess, working with other teachers in the school?
Yes. So they tend to work with, say, a grade level team. So we'd have a 4th grade team lead who would work with other 4th grade teachers to analyze the data, to think about how they could change practice, come back together, see how it's working, and do those inquiry cycles over the course of the year multiple times.
Well, I noticed that one of the schools was Orchard Gardens,
yeah.
And that was the school that had been struggling for a number of years.
Yep, that's a school that had been struggling. It had been 7 years since it opened. Every year they were replacing the principal and replacing about 60 to 80% of the staff. Oftentimes they'd be replacing the staff with another group of enthusiastic but unexperienced teachers. And so this intervention really kind of met them with what they needed. It said what we want to do is get a cadre of folks who have had experience, who are willing to stay and stick it out. And so we've had really high retention of the teachers in that school, and that's been a sea change over the course of the past 2.5 years.
Another thing that people might pick up when they hear about looking at data, is this one of these approaches that involves a lot more teaching to tests and rote learning?
We absolutely look at assessment data, among other things, and we think that that's actually a helpful piece. But what the research actually tells us about teachers is that the best among them who get the best test results actually don't say that they're spending a lot of time teaching to the test. They're really working on deep level learning, and that shows up in test results.
What about the long term? Because you have these teachers who swoop in, work some wonders. What about 3 or 4 years down the line? What happens?
Yeah, well, what we know, and one of the problems that this program aspires to solve, is that about half of teachers leave urban systems within their first 3 years. So what urban systems have done successfully around the country is recruit in new teachers who are very enthusiastic. What they haven't done is found ways to keep them. And so what we're trying to do with this T3 program is, in fact, create leadership pathways, growth opportunities for excellent teachers to keep them in the classroom. And our retention rates have been very strong. In those first 2 cohorts, these first 6 schools, 93% of teachers have stayed in the Boston public schools.
What do you think is going on in terms of the school climate? I'm not talking about students here, but how does it feel for a teacher?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important pieces of this is, these were schools that had all been chronically failing year after year. And so the culture among teachers was naturally kind of suffering. So this has been an opportunity to kind of really turn around that culture, to build a professional teaching force in those schools that feels like it can be successful, that is led by teachers, and that is feeling that positivity both in the teaching force and the student population.
So what do you think is going to happen with this program in Boston? Are we going to see more schools using it, you think?
Yeah, I mean, our goal is for the system to take on this responsibility for teacher leadership more seriously. We hope that more schools in the Boston Public Schools have opportunities to to retain our top teachers by allowing them to lead their peers and be paid for that and get specialized training for that. We see that as a strategy for both keeping those teachers and for improving student outcomes.
Talk about what this means for a student who might be really struggling with a subject and the kind of attention that student would be getting.
Yeah. Well, our goal is not just to have a few kind of superstar heroes in the school. The idea really is that every student in a school has the opportunity to get a great teacher and a great experience, because we have some of the best teachers in the city of Boston helping to lead other teachers in the school in the same types of practices that they've been successful at in the past. So for every individual student, we want to see that improvement and that increased opportunity.
Before you founded Teach Plus, you were in a more conventional track. You were a teacher in an urban system. So what brought you from that to Teach Plus?
Well, frankly, what I wanted to do was take on a leadership myself, and I saw few pathways for that in the classroom. And so as I went to work in the policy world, as I went back to grad school, the thing that I kept wrestling with was, how do we create the opportunities that are going to keep teachers on an aspirational pathway, but allow them to stay in the classroom? And so with T3, teachers are allowed to do both, stay in front of kids and grow and lead from that position.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks so much.
Dr. Celine Coggins from Teach Plus.